So this is a question that was asked over email on the homework, and I printed it off. Let's see if you can see it. It's talking about hat sizes, and they're saying it's determined by measuring the circumference of one's head in either inches or centimeters. They want us to use ratio and proportion to complete the following table. Okay, so they give us this right here. They tell us that hat size, if it's a 7 1/8, that means that your head circumference in inches is 22 2/5, and in centimeters is 57. So then they give us a hat size of 6 7/8, and they ask us to basically identify head circumference in inches and also in centimeters. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to actually use this proportion right here, the 7 1/8 to the 22 2/5, and we're going to assume that this one's going to have the same proportionality that this one does. Okay, so we're going to set up a proportion with this over this equal to the 6 7/8 over this, and we'll call this x right here. Okay, so it's going to look like this. This is 6.8.37. Whoa, why can't we see that? Okay. 6.8.37, and so I'm going to take the 7 1/8 and put that in the top, and 22 2/5 and put that in the bottom. That's those numbers right there, and that's going to be equal to the 6 7/8 from the next row, and then we're going to have x is what we're looking for the circumference in inches. Okay, so this right here, that question mark, is our x. Right? So basically we have one fraction equal to one fraction, so we can cross multiply. So I'm going to take the 7 1/8 and multiply it by the x, and then on for this multiplication, taking the 22 2/5 and multiplying it by the 6 7/8. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, because it's easier to work with, I'm actually going to convert all of these fractions into improper fractions. So the 8 times 7 is 56, and add 1 gives me 57 over 8x. And then over here, 22 times the 5 is 110, plus the 2 is 112 over 5. And the 6 7/8, the 6 7/8, 8 times the 6 is 48, and then plus our 7, we get 55 over 8. Okay, so it's just easier to work with these fractions when they're not in the mixed form. All right, so what I'm going to do now is just multiply straight across for these fractions. So I have 57 over 8x equaling, and there is some reducing I can do here. I see 5 will go into 5 once, into 55 11 times. It looks like there's a common 112 is divisible by 2. It might be divisible by 4 also. It is divisible by 4. So 4 goes in here twice, 4 goes in there 28 times. So I'm actually looking at 28 times 11 in the top. Just some smaller numbers to work with. 308. I guess actually that will still reduce even more because it's 308 over 2, which is 154. So we actually have 57 over 8x equaling 154. And then in order to deal with this, I'm going to multiply both sides by 8 over 57. That's multiplying by the reciprocal so that I can solve for the x. Okay, so I have x is equal to, and I'm actually just going to get a decimal for this because they say, oh no, they do want it in a mixed fraction form. So we'll take the 154 times 8, and we get 1232 over the 57, because this basically has a denominator of 1. So I'm multiplying tops and multiplying bottoms. And if I'm going to make a mixed fraction out of that, 1232, if we divide that by 57, we get 21 for the whole number. And so 21 times 57 is 1197. So we have 1232 minus 1197, 35 left over. So 21 and 35/57ths, I believe, is what we're looking for there. Okay. All right, so that's the first part where they asked us to identify the head circumference to the nearest 1/5 inch. And then the next thing they're asking us to do is to identify the head circumference to the nearest centimeter. So we're going to actually be using the 7 1/8 with the 57, and then the 6 7/8 over the x. Okay, so that's another separate problem. So it would look like we would set the 7 1/8 over the 57 equal to the 6 7/8 over the x. And again, we're doing the same thing, so cross multiplying. This is 7 1/8 x equals 57 times the 6 7/8. Okay, and we already did these in the previous problem, so this is 57 over 8x equaling 57 times, I think, our 55 over 8. Okay. And I'm actually going to, just because I see what's going to happen in this problem, you can go ahead and multiply this together, 57 times the 55 over the 8. I'm actually just going to go ahead and multiply by 8 over 57 to solve for the x, because I notice what's going to happen over here when I multiply by 8 over 57 is I have some things that are going to cancel there. So I'm going to have x equal to, the 8's will cancel, the 57's will cancel, and so I'm actually just left with 55. So that's 55 centimeters then for the second piece here to solve that. So this right here would be 55.